Hi, everyone. It's a few minutes after 6, and this is your closing comment. It's video number 423, and I remind you, if you like the work, hit the subscribe button. It really helps us. Okay, so big news in a bunch of different industries, but let's start with DraftKings. DraftKings has a deal now that includes Caesars and ESPN. It's a deal where ESPN has granted DraftKings and Caesars as their entry into the daily fantasy game market. And this is a pretty big deal. I mean, you have to realize that ESPN does an awful lot. And I remind you, it's owned by the Mouse House, Disney. And so there's going to be a great deal of content available to both of these companies. Caesars closed 55.39, up 5, which is 10%, but DraftKings got the biggest boost. It closed at 48.60, up 7.14 or 17%. There was also some pretty decent action in Penn Gaming, but these are the guys who got the deal done. Gilead this morning purchased Immunomedics, and it got up as high as 67.92 intraday, but came down and closed 66.34, still up 76 cents. Most of the concern was that IMMU was an $8 stock in April, and they did the deal here. The stock closed 83.65, which was a 98% premium to last night's close. So it was up 41.40 or 98% today, and it was already up from $8 to $40 prior. Lennar had earnings this afternoon after the close. The stock has gone from 25 to 79. It briefly traded at 80.5, but is currently trading down a little at 75.50, mostly because it's had a huge run. The stock has tripled since the March lows. SAVA, SAVA, I mentioned it this morning. It was about $7 in low change. They have an Alzheimer's treatment. It's currently trading in extended hours at 8.14 plus 482, so 145%. And another one that I mentioned this morning, Scientific Games, SGMS, a group of funds took a 35% position in the company. The stock traded as high as 28.77 today. The last is 26.09, still up a hefty $7.12 or 38% just on the news of the investors. Pfizer was up 101 today at 37.08. This was also a COVID deal. They're talking about having a vaccine by the end of 2020. Awfully fast, not really sure, but the market liked it. And another deal was NVIDIA buying ARM Holdings from SoftBank. NVIDIA got as high as 532 and is currently 519.10, up 32.5 on that news, so 6.7%. So the street likes the idea of putting those two together. And NIKOLA, I don't know what there is to say about this one. It's really getting confusing and convoluted. The stock was as high in the last couple of days as $54 on the NIKOLA GM announcement from late last week. and it got down to 28 and 3/4. And during the day today, it was up as high as 35.79. But there was an announcement that the SEC was looking into the company. So the stock came down. It's 32.85, which is down about $3 from where it closed. All of the markets were higher, I'm sure you're aware. But the biggest gainer today was the Russell, up 39.70 or 2.65%. Awfully big. The chart on the screen is the dollar index, and it just, no matter how strong it looks, it just cannot get up ahead of steam to do anything overwhelming. Right now, it's showing me that it was trading at 92.91, which was 40 cents lower, but I have a settlement close of 93.06. Not that much difference, but the difference of down 27 cents and down 41 cents is kind of a big discrepancy. The bonds were mixed. Bitcoin was 10,705, up 365. It's up a little more tonight. And let's go to the gold. As everyone knows, I've been wildly bullish on the gold. I remain that way. And every time I look at a chart on it, it just looks more and more classic. In other words, it tends to have very specific type patterns. It usually will be in a position where you can definitely, well, here it is. You can definitely see that, we tested the breakout here. We came back in after being a high, I think it was 2090, 2089.10. And we came down, rallied back up, slightly higher low, and then this low was only minorly lower, but it hit the 50-day moving average and closed on the high that day, up on the day. We've had a couple of more days of consolidation here. I was hoping for a close higher than this 1964.30. We got 1963.70, so that's pretty close. The next area that I think it really has to close above is right in here around 1978. 1980 would be a decent close. Tonight it's also up $2.50 in the evening electronic session. And one of my favorites, coffee, came down hard today. So I'm going to start looking again at JO, which is the ETN for coffee. As you can see, it came down hard. If it comes down tomorrow anywhere near this 119, 120 area, I will have to go back in. I think that JO closed around 37 and change after being almost $41 last week when we were up here at the 135, 134 area. And something that may cut into those Lennar great numbers at some point here is the lumber. Everybody knows the story. It ran from $250 to $869 and has collapsed from there. These are all limit days, limit down, then limit down up to closing unchanged, limit up, and today another limit up. So we're talking about a $250 commodity that generally trades between 3.25 and 4.25 back down here, which rallied 300% and then sold off from $859 to just under $600. So about 40% down and has started back up again. So we'll see how that works out. All right, everyone, I'll be back first thing in the morning, and I remind you, hit that subscribe button. Have a good evening.